Men don't walk away because they stop loving you. They walk away when they no longer respect you. It may sound cold, but it's the truth, and very few people dare to say it out loud. You can be beautiful, smart, loyal. You can love him with all your heart, but if you unknowingly do the things that make him lose respect for you, that love will slowly fade in silence. Men don't say much, but they remember, they notice, they pull back bit by bit. Every time you try to control him, every time you manipulate through emotions, every time you fail to see his true value, until one day he doesn't argue, he doesn't blame, he just stops looking at you the way he used to. This is about 8 things women often do, sometimes without even realizing it, but each one is enough to quietly kill the respect of a man who once looked at you with awe. 1. Controlling and doubting him, as if he has no right to be free. Men don't need freedom to cheat, they need freedom to be themselves. There's nothing that kills a man's respect faster than being constantly controlled. You might think checking his phone, asking where he is, who he's with, what he's doing is love. But to him, it's a clear message. You don't trust him. And worse, you don't respect who he is. A little jealousy, a little concern, that's something most men can understand. But when a woman turns love into an emotional prison where every action is monitored, every word is analyzed, he no longer feels like a man. He feels doubted, interrogated, and slowly diminished. That's when he starts to pull back, quietly, less sharing, less showing up. Not because he's hiding something, but because he no longer wants to live in a relationship where freedom feels like a crime. There's a painful truth. Many don't see it until it's too late. Men stay when they're allowed to be themselves, not a version shaped by someone else's fears. You want him to be honest. Give him space to breathe. You want him to open up. Let him know you trust him enough, not to monitor every move. You want his respect, then respect his freedom and his sense of identity. First, ask yourself, am I loving him or controlling him? Am I protecting this relationship or suffocating it with my fear of losing him? Love needs connection, but respect needs just the right amount of distance. Don't turn love into chains, because the moment a man feels his freedom is gone, that's when you'll start losing him. 2. Using emotions to manipulate and calling it love. Tears might silence him, but they will never earn his respect. There's a kind of pain that men almost never talk about. It's the feeling of being controlled by a woman's emotions. Every time he doesn't do what you want, you get angry. When he doesn't text at the right moment, you go silent. When he asks for space, you cry. You don't speak through calm words, you communicate through storms of silence, cold shoulders, and emotional landmines. And then you call it being emotional. You say that's just how women are, or I only act this way because I love him. But he doesn't see it that way. What he sees is manipulation. Picture this. A man sitting in front of you, he loves you, but he no longer knows when you're truly hurt, and when you're just using your emotions as a weapon, he becomes careful, guarded, afraid to speak honestly, afraid to be himself, because he knows one wrong word could lead to a storm of tears, a week of silence, or you disappearing without a single word. And when that happens, he no longer respects you, not like he used to. Because love cannot grow in a relationship where emotions are used as pressure instead of as a bridge. So how can things be different? Start by recognizing your emotions, but don't weaponize them. If you're hurt, say, I need you to listen. If you feel abandoned, say, that made me feel alone. Instead of manipulating, show your vulnerability with dignity. Real emotions make a man want to protect you. Exaggerated emotions make him want to pull away. Women are powerful through emotion, but they are respected when they master their emotions, and that's what makes a man stay, not out of fear, but out of admiration. 3. Comparing him to another man. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to say things like, other men can do it, why can't you? Sometimes it's just a look, just one casual sentence. My friend's husband is so thoughtful. My boss is such a real man, he handles everything. That guy, he works so hard. It's admirable. Just that, no bad intentions, no deliberate harm, but respect starts to crack from little things like that. When a man loves you, he wants to be the only one in your eyes, not because he's selfish, but because it's his nature as a protector. He thinks, as long as she believes in me, I can do anything. But when you start to compare him to others, you're not just making him feel less, you're saying, you're not enough. Someone else does it better. And most of all, I'm looking at them, not at you anymore. Men don't react right away. They don't cry. They don't complain, but they remember and they start to pull back, little by little. If you want him to grow, encourage him with trust. If you see something admirable in another man, share it as a hope, not as a comparison. And if you truly love him, let your eyes say, I choose you, not because you're perfect, but because you're the one I want to grow better with, together. Because once respect is cracked, it's hard to repair. Don't trade it away, just to feel right, for one fleeting moment. 4. Seeing him as a project to fix. He is a man, not an unfinished version of some dream you're trying to shape into your ideal. One of the most common mistakes many women make in love is this. They fall in love, then try to change the man they chose. You want him to dress differently, to speak more maturely, to act like a real man, based on your definition. You call it caring. You say it's because you want the best for him. But what he hears is something else entirely. You don't accept who I am right now. You'll love me more when I'm no longer myself. Sounds harsh, doesn't it? But that's the truth, that most men will never say out loud. They'll just feel it deep down, that they're never enough, never truly seen, never truly trusted. A man can change, he can grow, he can transform completely, but never because he's being fixed like a broken machine. Don't confuse supporting someone's growth with forcing them into the mold in your mind. Every time you adjust him a little, criticize him a little, you slowly chip away at his self-worth until one day he stops trying altogether. Not because he's lazy, but because no matter what he does, it's never good enough. In your eyes, a man grows when he feels respected, both in his strengths and in his imperfections. Love him, not because he's perfect, but because he dares to become better in his own way. No one wants to be a project. In the eyes of the one they love, he wants to be a partner, not an assignment. You feel responsible to complete. 5. Not being grateful and treating what he does as expected. Men don't ask for much. They don't need you to praise them every day. They don't need you to say wow every time they do something for you. But they do need one thing, the feeling that what they do actually means something. When he quietly fixes that loose shelf, when he drives you to work, even though traffic is hell, when he skips the night out with friends just to spend time with you. All of those moments are his way of showing love through action. But if you treat it as obligation, if you never look him in the eyes and say, thank you, I know you're trying for me, I see that, then slowly, something inside him begins to empty. Not because he wants attention, but because he starts to feel invisible. A man won't complain. He'll keep doing what he does, still helping, still showing up, still staying. But one day, he'll stop. Quietly, without a fight, not because he doesn't love you anymore, but because he no longer feels valuable in your eyes. And that is when respect begins to break. No one stays in a place where their efforts are treated as expected. Gratitude isn't about grand gestures. Sometimes it's just a glance, a touch, a soft voice saying, I see everything you're doing. And that's enough, because men don't need applause. They just need to know they're not invisible. 6. Overreacting to every little thing. Men are not afraid of emotions. They're afraid of living in an emotional minefield. There's a kind of man who pulls away, not loudly, not angrily, but quietly, not because he stopped loving you, but because he's tired of always guessing if you're happy or mad today, if your silence means peace, or if a storm is coming. He tried to explain, but you didn't listen. He spoke gently, but you still said he was cold or careless. He once said, it's not a big deal. and you reacted like it was the end of the world. A careless word becomes a week of silence. A polite refusal turns into an interrogation. A late reply becomes a crime. Slowly, he stops sharing. He stops opening up. Not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't want to get caught in a storm. Every time you lose control, put yourself in his shoes. He's had a long day. His mind is tired. He comes home just needing 5 minutes of peace, but one wrong tone, one look at the wrong time, and you shut down. You throw a cold sentence at him and walk away. And again, he asks himself, what did I do wrong this time? Think back, how many times have you said, I'm fine, but inside, you were boiling? How many times have you gone silent, waiting for him to figure it out, then felt hurt because he didn't? The woman who makes a man stay is not the one without emotions. It's the one who knows how to use them to connect, not to punish. Dismissing his dreams or belittling his work. Men don't need you to fully understand their dreams. They just need you not to belittle them. The moment a man starts to lose respect for a woman doesn't always come from a loud argument. Sometimes it comes from something quiet, something cold, something small, like when he shares what he's passionate about, what he's trying to build, and you respond with a slight laugh. You didn't mean to be cruel, just a joke. You call that a career? Just one comment. I think you should be more realistic. Or worse, you dream too much, it doesn't even make money. You thought you were helping him wake up. But in truth, you just shattered the one thing a man lives for, his sense of purpose. Men don't live off emotions, like women often do. They live through striving, through the belief that they're moving towards something meaningful. That thing could be a project that's still unpaid, a dream no one else believes in, an idea others laugh at, but if it's what he's giving his heart to, then it's the core of his identity. And when the woman he loves doesn't believe in him, doesn't support him, or worse, mocks what matters to him, he won't argue, he won't fight, he'll just pull back. He'll share less, try less. And one day, you'll see a man who is silent, going through life, but no longer for you. Because you killed the part of him that mattered most, his pride, tied to his vision. So what should you do? You don't have to understand every detail of his dream, but please, don't laugh. Don't compare him to anyone else. Don't ask, does this even make money? Instead, ask him, what does this mean to you? I can see you're passionate about it. Sometimes, that's all it takes to make a man feel seen, because when a man feels understood in his dream, he will stay, he will fight, and he will protect the woman who believed in him with everything he has. Love is a place to rest, but respect is the place a man chooses to stay. Be the place he wants to return to after failure, not the place that makes him want to quit before he even begins. 8. Always needing to win the argument. When you fight to win, you might be losing something far more valuable, his respect. One of the main reasons men slowly withdraw from a relationship is not the fights themselves. It's the feeling that they're not being heard, not being understood, and always the one who has to lose. You may be clever with words, quick with comebacks, sharp in reading people. You may even be able to twist any situation to prove he's wrong and you're right. But each time you do, he doesn't feel understood. He doesn't feel connected. He feels like he's on trial. In the one place where he was supposed to have a teammate, no one wants to live with someone, where even the smallest disagreement turns into a battle, where being right matters more than being kind, more than being close. When a man starts to feel that every disagreement leads to sarcasm, criticism, or being defeated by logic, he won't yell, he won't fight, he'll go quiet, he'll stop sharing, stop responding, stop connecting. Not because he doesn't care anymore, but because he doesn't see a way to be heard without having his dignity torn apart. Respect doesn't come from always being right. It comes from knowing when to stop, to protect the person you love from feeling small. You might think, I just want him to understand my point. But what he hears is, you want to prove you're better, smarter, and I have to admit it. Men's emotions aren't complicated, but they are deeply sensitive. to the feeling of being invalidated. If you argue to win, you'll see him drift further away. But if you argue to connect, you'll see him lean in closer, with more trust, more openness, more respect. So next time you're in a disagreement, ask yourself, do I want to win, or do I want to understand? Am I protecting my ego or protecting this relationship? A man will listen to you for the rest of his life, if you know when to speak and when to be quiet, so he can still feel like he matters. Mature love isn't about who's right, it's about both being right enough to stay after every disagreement. A message just for you. Love can begin with attraction, with a look, with a feeling, but it can only last when it's built on respect. A man may love you deeply. He may be willing to give everything for you. But if day after day, your small actions begin to wear down his admiration, his trust, and his inner peace, then that love will slowly die in silence. Don't wait until he goes quiet. Don't wait until he's still there, but no longer the man he used to be. And don't wait until the day he finally walks away, not because he stopped loving you, but because he no longer sees you as someone he can respect. Remember this, men don't ask for much. They just want to be trusted, to have space, to be themselves, to be lifted up, not pulled down, to be heard, not overpowered, and most of all, to be respected for who they are becoming. If you have a good man, look at how you treat the masculine part of him, because once you lose his respect, you will lose him too, even if he's still standing next to you. A smart woman doesn't try to keep a man with love, she keeps him by never making him choose between his self-respect and his love for her.